In a world that thrives on the creativity and passion of artists, Spotify stands as a monument to exploitation disguised as innovation. What was once heralded as the future of music consumption has now revealed itself as a system that siphons value from artists while enriching corporate executives and shareholders. Beneath its sleek interface lies a business model that is fundamentally broken, predatory, and unsustainable for the very creators who fuel its existence. Here are the hard truths about Spotify and its exploitation of artists. The reality of streaming royalties. Spotify pays artists fractions of a penny per stream. According to reports, the platform's average payout ranges between 0.3 and 0.5 per stream. This means an artist needs hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of streams just to make minimum wage. Consider this. A song streamed 1 million times might earn the artist around $4,000, a figure that must often be split with record labels, producers, and other stakeholders. For independent musicians, the math is even bleaker. Contrast this with the revenue Spotify generates. In 2023 alone, Spotify posted over $12 billion in revenue. Yet, while the company's CEO, Daniel Ek, enjoys a net worth exceeding $2 billion, countless musicians struggle to pay rent or fund their next album. This glaring disparity underscores the platform's exploitative practices. Artists are reduced to mere content providers in a machine designed to benefit corporate elites. Artists are forced to play the algorithm game. Spotify's algorithm-driven model prioritizes quantity over quality, favoring artists who can churn out music at an unsustainable pace. For smaller or independent musicians, this means constantly releasing new content to stay relevant in playlists and recommendations. The result? A race to the bottom, where artistry and creativity are sacrificed for volume and visibility. Moreover, Spotify's playlist culture, dominated by editorial and algorithmic playlists, consolidates power in the hands of a few curators and AI systems. Artists who fail to land on these coveted playlists are left to fend for themselves in an oversaturated marketplace. The platform's opaque processes for playlist inclusion further compound the problem, creating a system that is anything but equitable. Exploiting the long tail. Spotify's business model relies heavily on the long tail of music, the vast majority of songs that generate modest streams. While megastars like Taylor Swift and Drake command significant payouts, the overwhelming majority of Spotify's 100 million tracks generate little to no income for their creators. According to one analysis, nearly 90% of Spotify's revenue comes from the top 1.4% of artists. This leaves millions of musicians effectively subsidizing the platform with their work, receiving nothing in return but a spot in Spotify's vast digital library. The myth of exposure. Spotify defenders often argue that the platform provides exposure for artists, helping them reach global audiences. But exposure does not pay the bills. The promise of visibility is a hollow justification for paying artists starvation wages. While a few lucky musicians might break through the noise, the vast majority remain trapped in obscurity, their streams generating revenue for Spotify without meaningful compensation. Spotify's anti-artist practices. Spotify's actions go beyond low payouts. In 2019, the company lobbied against a U.S. Copyright Royalty Board decision to increase songwriter royalties by 44%. By actively opposing higher payments for creators, Spotify revealed its true priorities, maximizing profits at the expense of the artists who power its platform. This is not the behavior of a company that values creativity or culture. Furthermore, Spotify's push for exclusive deals and its Discovery Mode program, where artists can accept reduced royalties in exchange for algorithmic promotion, highlight its exploitative tendencies. These programs force artists into a lose-lose situation: accept lower payouts or risk being buried by the algorithm. Alternatives exist and must be supported. The dominance of Spotify is not inevitable. Artists and listeners have the power to demand better. Platforms like Bandcamp, which allow musicians to sell their music directly to fans while keeping a significant portion of the revenue, represent a fairer model. By supporting these alternatives, we can shift the industry away from exploitation and towards sustainability. The call to action. Spotify's exploitation of artists is not just a music industry problem. It's a cultural crisis. When the people who create the art that enriches our lives are treated as disposable, we all lose. Listeners must recognize their role in this system and take action. Cancel subscriptions, support artists directly, and demand change. Without fair compensation, the future of music risks becoming a wasteland of corporate-controlled mediocrity. It's time to hold Spotify accountable. Artists deserve better, music deserves better, and we as consumers have the power to make that happen.